Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
Hi guys, welcome back. And let me just tell you, you're in for a treat. I just ended my recording with Daniela Justus, who's one of my very close friends and peers in the online space. Fellow business owner, fellow agency owner. Her business does a myriad of things from ads to funnels. In building our calendar, I knew that I wanted to talk to someone who really knew funnels inside and out from a beginner all the way up to an expert point of view. And Daniela was the right person to have this conversation. Her business is focused on this kind of work. She works with service providers. She works with online coaches, but she also has had her business for a while. And she's one of those incredible people who knows how to take complicated ideas and make them super understandable. So grab a notebook. I know I wanted to take notes in this episode. You're going to love it. Let's dive in. All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the new episode of The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. I'm here with a trusted confidant, a peer, an expert, a genius, a kind person, but also my friend, Daniela. Daniela, welcome to The Unfiltered Entrepreneur.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashley, and thanks for that introduction. I love it.
You know, it's so funny because we have these other guests that are coming on the podcast where we send them an introductory thing and give us a questionnaire and give us more information. And I was like, wait, we're talking about funnels. I'm not going to find an expert. I want my girl on the podcast. So I was just like, yo, Daniela, you want to come on? She's like, sure. Can you do this day? And I'm like, yeah. And here we are. And that's kind of the beauty of having a friend like you, Daniela, is that I know that I can trust you to be able to riff on a topic. And, I love that you stepped in. So thank you for doing that.
Of course. I love this work and I live and breathe this space. And so I can talk about this stuff all day long.
And here's the thing, Daniela, this is one of the reasons that I'm excited to have you on is because I can come down in the coaching space pretty hard. I can definitely call out some behavior and challenge some people in a way. But one of the things that I've loved about your business is that you work really closely with coaches. You work really closely with people in the online space. And I know that you do it very ethically. So you're one of those people that I don't want anyone to think that coaching is bad or that the online space is a terrible place. I just like to call out bad behavior. But from your experience, I want to talk a little bit about you working very closely with the online space. And that's such an advantage. Wouldn't you agree? I'm over here button it up, guys, get it together. But you really do work so closely with these people that you see the transformation in their business. I love that you get to work closely with people like that.
Thanks. Yeah, we really do look at what their business is doing holistically and see how our services can fit in with the bigger picture. Of course, there are good and bad people and good and bad strategies in every industry. I think a lot of advertisers in particular get a really bad rap. Same thing with digital marketers these days. And it's because a lot of people are going into it because they see this opportunity, but they don't even know what they don't know. And to your point, working with coaches has been a tremendous advantage for us because the coaching funnels and coaching industry is way more complex when it comes to relationship marketing, when it comes to automated funnels, building systems. People want to scale these types of businesses. The business model is built for that. But along with that, that means that there are a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misinformation, a lot of unrealistic expectations that we try to help our clients mitigate.
That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about all those misconceptions. I also have some questions about funnels that I want to bring you as a consumer myself who's, revitalizing our back-end systems all the time. I think that anybody who thinks they want to be in business thinks it's a set it and forget it kind of world. But a lot of times you have to keep these things so updated. You have to be on top of it. You have to be making appropriate shifts where necessary with your back end of your systems, specifically email. So my question for you from a funnel perspective, I want to make sure that I understand the industry well enough. When we're talking funnels, are we talking email funnels? Are we talking customer journey? Are those separate? Are they together? Give the audience a little bit of an understanding that when we are talking about funnels, what is it that we're really talking about from a comprehensive sense?
Yeah, I think funnel as a term, the funnel gets applied to a lot of different things, which is why this is such a confusing space, right? A really difficult question to answer with one quick, simple response, because it depends. It's used in a lot of different ways in a lot of different contexts. If I were to really boil it down, I would say a funnel is a system that starts broad and narrows in as it goes down, and it's a clear path from a point A to a point B.
That should be put in textbooks. As you're saying it, I'm like, Yeah. Like you made like such a complicated topic so easily understandable just now. I hope you like put that all over your stuff.
I think where it gets confusing is that people use the term funnel when they're talking about lead generation. They're also using the term funnel when they're talking about sales and closing. And those are really far away from one another. We can have very large funnels that are extremely complex that accommodate a lot of different pathways. And we can also have really simple, really streamlined, straightforward, here's one quick next step. And that counts as a funnel too. I think that's why it makes it so hard to educate around this topic and especially to execute on it if you don't know what it is you're trying to do with it.
Now, the thing is that I have seen specifically with email, like if we were to stay in the space of email funnels and email automations and that point A to point B, I have noticed that there's kind of two different worlds in the funnel space, let's say. One is when I entered into the online space, I noticed that there was kind of this like bro marketing push of kind of a set it and forget it business where you could have weekly emails pre-built for 52 weeks, let's say, where it looks like you're getting emails from this company super organically, but they made it once and it applies to everyone depending on whenever you join the freebie. Right? There's upsells, there's cross-sells all built into this system. You pay this one big fee at the beginning to get it all set up. And then over time, you have this opportunity to, let that person be guided through their system. Then on the flip side, I also hear people saying, make really small funnels, like 3 emails, quick, simple, because then you're able to convert, you're able to be more timely, you're able to be more responsive, reactive, etc. And I can see both schools of thoughts, not like there's only 2. I could see both of those schools of thoughts having very strong pros and having the cons. And I'm wondering, do you see one being better or worse than the other?
Awesome question. Love the context. And here are my thoughts. So if we're deciding between really what you described initially is almost like more of an automated newsletter versus something that's much more of like a conversion experience where somebody's opting in and maybe they're getting daily emails to push one specific action. Whereas like a newsletter format might be more for nurturing those leads and for kind of building relationships and staying top of mind. And there's a place for both of them. I would offer that if you're deciding which route to take, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. We'll start there. But I would say first, think about what your ultimate goal is. Is your goal to get clients signed on ASAP? Then you probably want to go the latter route of really showing up for that person and staying top of mind and hitting their inbox every single day versus if you're wanting to grow a community, if you want to have a big launch in the future, then I think growing a list and staying top of mind with a newsletter would be a really great pathway to take. Now, I want to mention that there are different types of buyers in every type of industry. And there are going to be people who are great fit clients for you who move quickly. And then there are going to be others who don't. And that's okay too. And so having both systems in place will help you not leave anybody out and help you accommodate the different buying styles. And I would also keep in mind, how long is your sales cycle? People are often the hottest right when they initially opt in, but then there are going to be people who kind of qualify themselves when they feel ready. And you don't want to leave them out to dry by not staying in contact with them either. Things like automations, segmented audiences, tagging on the back end of your email funnel can be really helpful tools to make sure that you're reaching the right people with the right message at the right time without sort of putting them into a system that maybe isn't built for them. And you're putting me into a once a week drip, and I'm not going to get the piece of information that I actually want that's going to move the needle for 3 months. Whereas if I'm in that quick sequence, I might see it right away and be like, cool, I'm ready to move. Let's do this. Then I'll click through the links. So that's where you can have some really cool stuff with tagging and with conditional logic to set up those funnels to be a little bit more fluid and flexible to where me as the consumer, I don't realize what's happening, but you're able to, as the business owner, have a lot more control over what you're saying to me at what time.
Well, and if anybody listening hasn't picked up on why I'm so in love with Daniela and why we are friends, it's because we are nerds. We are data nerds who love the facts. We love the analytics. We love the tracking. We love the organization. We have like a little group chat with, I would say, 5 agency owners, and we've been in for over a year, and we kind of use it as like our Voxer vent session, like asking asking for advice and asking for feedback and sharing really interesting things. And you can kind of tell why Daniela and I get along is because we are data people. And I think that funnels are one of those things, like there are very simple ways to get involved in funnels. There are very simple ways to kind of understand having a funnel in place. In a very simple way, one might say that it's join the freebie, pay for this thing. And then on the flip side, there are very advanced metrics and quite expert level tactical ways that you can be converting from 60 days down to 45 and tracking how to get that consumer life cycle shorter. And so in your business, Daniela, if somebody was, let's say in a year, their first year of business, do they want to focus on funnels? And if no, what do they focus on? If yes, what would you say is the kind of funnel a beginner might want to be paying attention to or seeing if they could DIY?
Yeah. My questions would first be, what are your goals with starting this business? What are your short-term goals and long-term goals? Because there are some funnel systems that I think are foundational that will help you in the long run. And then there are some funnel systems that can really help you just kind of get some cash through the door quickly to build out a little bit of stability while you are kind of playing that longer game as well. So I would say, are we talking about like a service provider or coaching?
Yeah, let's talk
business?
about a service provider.
So let's say you're a service provider, and coaches provide a service, to be fair. So if you are in a service provider industry, and let's say you're just getting started, maybe you're freelancing, maybe you have a VA, like small team, kind of a little bit of support, and really you want consistency with clients, you have capacity. And so really first figuring out, how many clients do you need? How many can you handle? And then working backwards from there. That means I need X number of sales calls, or that means I need X number of leads through the pipeline. Then I would create a funnel that would exist really to the like the middle or bottom of your funnel system. So that means that you're targeting warm leads or warm people in your community and your audience, people who maybe know you, they're seeing your content, and you're wanting to help drive them from there off the app. So people aren't going to be booking your services from Instagram or wherever it is that you hang out on. They're going to do it through your website, through your inquiry form, whatever that process looks like. That's the funnel that I would build. So whether it's a book a call, an application funnel, something that's going to get you having conversations with real people who could become real clients without sort of focusing on list building at first, because that's really not going to get you the people who are motivated to take that next step and to give you money.
Yeah, you're almost saying like, I want to see inspired action, not necessarily like data metric quantification, like massive overhaul systems.
Yeah, we're starting small, and we're starting where, maybe 3 or 4 clients are all that you really need in order to be making the amount of money that you're aiming for. That's the capacity that you have in terms of hours in the week. And that could be a really sustainable business. There are people who just stop there and it's great for them. But let's say you're a little more ambitious and you want to sort of create another stream of revenue that is like, there's no such thing as passive income. I will say that, unless you're like investing, like you still have to manage those portfolios. It drives me crazy that people think like, oh, I'm going to build a course and it's going to be passive. No, you still have to market it. You still have to sell it. You still have to build a community around whatever it is that you have. But let's say you're a service provider, you've perfected the thing that you do, and you want to start sharing some education, some resources around it, and maybe build another stream of income that is less involved in your time in terms of fulfillment, let's say. That's when I would start maybe building a list with a freebie lead magnet that's an opt-in that provides value, that then you nurture that list with the weekly broadcast sequences. And then whenever you have an offer specific to that group, then you can do a really fun live launch to promote it. You can send a quiet, soft launch just through emails. There's a lot that you can do to sort of monetize that. You can also do a lot of things with affiliates and referrals. There's so much opportunity when you have that list to sell to. So another way to look at things is like, what is that lead magnet? And is the lead magnet something, that we're really familiar with? Is it a PDF guide? Is it something that is a one-page
challenge?
Yeah. Webinar challenge. It could be more of an experience. Those are great. But I think a lot of service providers forget that you can also use that very similar structure of having a landing page that's an opt-in, and then you send them an email with the thing on it. What if that thing were your pricing and packages guide? And then you have one afterwards that kind of tells more your story, your values, the reason why you care so much about providing this service and who's right for it and who isn't a good fit. And then from there, you invite them to book a call, or you invite them to apply to work with you. You can have your vetting process on the back end, but that's going to result in a really good quality client relationship.
Yeah, that's how I started. My first quote unquote freebie was literally just an opt-in to see my pricing page. You just placed your email in and it redirected you to the pricing. And that worked for a very long time. That was kind of like the only thing for a hot minute because they didn't have the resources at the time, or definitely the confidence. I didn't have the confidence to be building beautiful freebies, which I thought everything had to be absolutely flawless, obviously, at the beginning. Needless to say, I was wrong. But you bring up a really interesting point, which is that at the beginning, like, we don't have to overthink it. What we want to do at the end of the day is bring somebody kind of interested to more interested to purchasing. We want to bring them through that understanding of, who is this person? Oh, I understand who this person is. Wait, that might be for me. It is for me and I'm interested, So that's really all we want to do in such basic, simple terms. But the other thing that I want to circle back to a bit is the fact that you and I would agree no work exists in a silo. Your funnel isn't going to save you. A low price offer isn't going to save you. A high price offer isn't going to save you. A brand shoot won't save you. A website won't save you. It really is an ecosystem of making sure that all of those things kind of stay connected. And so my question to you would be, let's say you're hired to really amplify a funnel or create a high converting funnel for someone who has a great budget. And they come to you and they say, we need some help. Our funnel is just not working for whatever reason. What kind of ecosystem aspects are you looking at? Are you going first to website? Are you first taking a look at offer suite? Like, what are those other pieces of that business ecosystem, those other parts of the business that you're looking at to really make sure that the funnel is being impacted properly by all these other parts of the business?
Yeah, great question. We start all of our client relationships with an audit of what they have. And what that really looks like is the first thing that we want to do before we even start looking at the actual marketing assets is have a very honest conversation with the founder or with whoever's in charge and really understand the brand and really understand the messaging. Who is it that the brand is trying to serve? Not just, anybody. How specific can we get about who it is that you're speaking to and who's like a dream client? And then we start looking at, well, what are the ways that you are currently serving them? Is there flexibility here? Is there capacity? Really trying to understand the context that we're working within. And then we look at what the assets look like. Then we look at the landing page. What is that point of entry offer? Does it make sense based on everything else that we've already learned? So really looking at it through the lens of messaging first, I think, is our real starting point. And then from there, it usually just makes sense why it's not working. And that seems to be a lot of times when people come to me in that situation, they've been doing this for maybe it's not their first rodeo, right? They started somewhere, then they added this other thing, then they worked with another coach and they added this other thing. Now they're like trying to string it all together, working with what they have, not realizing that maybe that point of entry offer isn't speaking to somebody who's actually going to be a dream fit client for them. A common mistake that we see is that people will develop a lead magnet that's really beginner, really elementary in terms of the information that it's providing and in terms of the desire that it's speaking to, where the ascension from lead magnet to becoming a good fit client is a really big leap. A lot needs to happen before they are really qualified to work with you because the point of entry is just too basic. So I would challenge you as a professional to really think about who is your dream fit client and what's something that you can offer them that's going to give them a quick win, but that's also going to bring in the person who's already qualified to work with you, to where the thing that they need to overcome is not that they need to build their business up to like 4x what it is currently in order for it to make sense for them to hire you. What we want is for that overcoming really just to be about belief in themselves that they can get the result that you're promising, belief in you that you can get it for them, and belief in, whatever service or whatever offer is that get them the result that they're looking for. But they already have the desire. They already have the business that makes sense for the service. It's about bridging the gap.
Yeah. I think that that's something that I want to hear more from experts. Like, here's the thing. I'm a messy girl. I'm saying, like, go make messy moves. If you're the person where you're like, I just did something messy, like, don't come for me, this isn't for you. But if you're the kind of person who thinks, I don't want to upset people, or I don't want to push anyone away, or I don't want to, like, if your strategy is to make something so basic and elementary that you want to attract everyone, it's probably going to backfire. Instead, really think of like, how can I make a conversion from a free event? How can I have them see like a tangible takeaway from something totally for free? And something that we talk about here at Team AP and like this whole month focused on email, especially when it comes to opt-ins, is that I have a big aversion to freebies, and I want them to be free products, free offers, right? That differentiation of like, I remember there was someone who I love on TikTok. She's a PR expert. I went to her profile, like 3 ways to handle a PR crisis. And it basically was like, tell people the truth, send a PR memo. And I'm like, duh, to all of this. You know what I mean? Versus someone else who I was really curious about a specific part of our business and how to scale it. I downloaded her free masterclass and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I learned so much from this. And it's something I heard a lot in my space whenever I was selling services was, you give so much away for free. I can't imagine what I get if I were to pay you. And so I love the fact that you brought that up. Daniela was like, make sure that that freebie is so clearly for them.
Here's the thing. There's no shortage of clients and there's no shortage of leads. There are billions of people using these platforms every single day. And the broader that you cast your net, the harder it is to find people even within your community who are a great fit. But the more specific and honed in that you can get on exactly who is like the dream for you to work with, and the more you speak to that person, don't worry about leaving other people out, because they're not the ones who you want to have hiring you anyways. Like, you want those people who feel seen and heard and who can't wait to pay you to be the ones that are booking calls, not somebody who's like, well, I kind of like what you said, but I'm not sure if this is quite right for me. Let's talk about it some more. And then, you know, next thing you know, you're spinning your wheels and you're having all these conversations that aren't really leading anywhere.
Yeah. That's also where I find people getting discovery call after discovery call after discovery call of people who end up saying no because it's out of budget or saying no because it's not the right time. And I'm like, we have to make sure that you are so clear about who this freebie is for, what it's connecting to, what their need is. Okay, so you said messaging and offer suite are two of those like ecosystem things that you tend to look for. If somebody is just starting out, how do they find messaging? Like, what are some tips that you have that maybe you're looking for in the refinement of that process?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to having clarity around what you do and who you do it for. That's the foundation of
like kicking people out, you know, kick them out.
Yeah, it's as important to filter people out as it is to get the right ones through the door. If not more important, you want it to be really clear if you're not the right fit for somebody.
No, it's so funny because in all of our businesses, we focus on women. 5 businesses, all focused on women, all focused on female teams. And my mom, who was an entrepreneur, I mean, God love her. I love my mom. I very much respect the business that they had, but led her business so much out of scarcity. Everything was like $1. And although like I kind of have that mindset sometimes because I think it's like kind of fun to get like quick grabs here and there, the fear of it all was just something I didn't really want in my business. But on top of that, with my 5 businesses, my mom, you know, has said to me many times, like, you're leaving money out. Men can pay you. Like, men have budgets, men have this. And I was like, but you don't understand that I want to work with women who also want to see like more female success. They want to trust that their team is women. They want to sit on a roster of women. And it's not that I'm kicking anyone out, but I'm getting quicker yeses from more viable candidates because I am so clear about who I'm working with. There's no question about it. It is not, I will take any dollar. I won't. I will take aligned money. And I always tell people like, they're like, but that's not my ideal client isn't going to pay me. And I'm like, no, your ideal client has a budget also. Let's just be very clear about that. But yeah, so I'm happy to hear you saying that because it echoes what I've been saying, which is very much like you're allowed to keep a tight circle and you're still going to attract a lot of people. There's too many people here, you know?
I agree. I mean, we can have a conversation about opportunity costs, but I think the bigger message here is that underlying values piece. If you're really clear on what your values are as a business owner, as a brand, and you can articulate your values to your community, if people resonate with that, if they're like, I know that Ashley and I are on the same wavelength when it comes to these core foundational things, the rest are just details when it comes to like, what is the offer? It just makes it so much easier to work together. I love working with women and with female founded brands. That's been our sort of world as well. And I find it so rewarding because I love empowering women and I love when women become more financially empowered. And I think that we just do really good things with our money. Now, I don't want to generalize. There are great guys out there too who do great things with their money. But what I have found is that, when I make compromises and work with someone who is a little bit outside of my dream fit, it takes so much more energy from me. And it means that I'm not available to serve those clients who would be so perfect and so much more fun to work with. And so I think talking about opportunity cost, but really in terms of not the money resource, but the energy resource. I think that business owners, you have to just be so careful about where you pour your energy and not to let it pour into a leaky bucket.
Yeah, and you know what? All of this attracting the ideal client may seem so disconnected from the funnel conversation, but I would argue, and I'm sure you would too, it's the most important part of the funnel conversation because that top of funnel is what filters you down into that conversion event, into that I'm saying yes, I'm paying you, I'm joining your thing, I'm doing what you're asking, I'm being a part of that group, whatever it is. So that top of funnel, like if you don't use that top of funnel correctly, I'm talking directly to you kind of moment, then when they get to the bottom, the answer is going to be no, 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 no.
Exactly. It's like when people start off, and I can speak to my own experience in this. When I first came into the online space, I'm not public facing. It's not my comfort zone. I've gotten a lot better at it. I hated getting on camera. I hated showing up on social media. It was not comfortable for me. And so I found myself really watering down my personality. I would show up scared and I would show up just trying to, well, this is what people want to hear. This is what I think they need to know. And then by the time I'm actually having a conversation with someone, the real me that they're getting is really different from the watered down version of me that they saw. And so that means that I'm attracting the wrong people from the outset by not leading with my values, with what I disagree with, by showing up for me as like who I am. That's really what I mean when I'm talking about messaging and how to position yourself as the right fit for these potential clients that you're trying to attract. It's really about leading with who you are and why you do what you do. If people can connect with that, nothing else really matters. It really
I feel like I just had like a mind blown moment. You know what I mean? Because like you just put that so eloquently that if we are misrepresenting the person they're getting in the service online, then we're also hurting kind of like a secondary funnel of like staying in, the retention of it, the affiliate or a referral connection that we get from that person. I've had a hard time trying to like tell people why I have to be the person that I am on my social media versus like who I am in real life. Like I have to be the same person is because I can't shut it off. I am who I am. When you come into the Doers Club, I'm going to be your big sister. I'm going to be your best friend. I'm going to be your cheerleader. I'm going to be the person that says we're not fucking doing that shit anymore. Like I have to be that person on my social media too, because if you come in thinking that you're going to get some buttoned up girl in a white suit, you're wrong. Maybe I'm buttoned up in a white suit, but I spilled spaghetti sauce all over it. You know what I mean? So I think you have such a great point that top of funnel should be the easy part. What do they get inside?
Exactly. And I think when you're developing your funnel, when you're really thinking about, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to plan, what are these different steps? What are the different levels of awareness? What's the learning that I want to accomplish with my funnel? If it's done well, and if it's done with a lot of intention, sales calls can just become a formality. They already have all of the information that they need in order to make a really confident decision to invest with you. They're just going through the steps, and it's maybe a question of, timing, or maybe it's a question of like, well, when do we start? That's the question that you want to get on a sales call, not what's included, not is this right for me? They should already know that. It's when do we start? What's the process?
Got a couple questions, but I'm generally ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniela, I could talk to you about this all day. Is there anything else relating to funnels that you're like, I need your audience to understand this? Or do you think we covered like the basic general overview of it?
I think we covered a lot, but I would say this much because I know that this content can be really overwhelming. And so I would offer, if you're listening to this and if you're like, holy shit, this is like a lot of stuff. And I don't even know where my business fits in with any of this. Audit your own funnel. Think about what process it is that a lead or a prospect goes through step by step, like really map it out. What are the different touch points that they see before they become a client? You can even work backwards from signing the contract. You know, do you have a call? Do you have an application? What are the steps? And where is there a big gap? Where is there a big jump? Maybe something that could be missing or that could be made more smooth. Maybe start documenting, you know, what are the questions that people are asking in those closing conversations, and how can you create content that speaks to that so that you can alleviate some of that and make it even easier for people to decide to work with you. That's where I would start, is really don't worry about the opt-in, don't worry about the freebie, don't worry about the emails yet. Think about what it is that you need to say and who it is that you're speaking to, and get super, super clear on that. Because once you have that figured out, everything else should just fall into place.
Yeah, you don't have to like cosplay as yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of see like, okay, well, this feels good. I like it when I talk about this. People seem to resonate really well when I talk about this, so I'm going to talk about
The
it.
big reason that we did the rebrand the way that we did, you know, I was like, who am I naturally? I'm like messy, fuck it, let's go, do it, good enough, you know? And so like the tape on the rebrand was important to me, and like pictures of me in my sweatpants and like everything just being like off the cuff. I needed to do that because the old way was so buttoned up. And I was like, this isn't even me. This isn't my business. This isn't who I am. And it allowed everything to be so much easier, you know, like, okay, I write emails the way I am, and I show up the way I am and the way that I'm wanting to work with people. And so it took me 4 years, guys. Okay. And, you know, we're still refining. So, and I think that's another really great takeaway from this, Daniela, was like, stay on top of things and know that you're always going to be adapting and shifting and learning and growing.
I'm glad you circled back to that, because I was thinking when we first started talking that I wanted to make sure that that was clear, that, you know, this is an ongoing process. You're never going to have a funnel that's finished or complete or perfect and working, because the market is going to change as soon as you have it figured out. The way that people make buying decisions is going to change. Things will change. Oh, I love this. Actually, it's just an offer for your community, because I'm guessing that you attract people who are similar to you, who love to just kind of be pushed to move and take messy action. So here's what I would say. One of my business coaches taught me this, and I've always really resonated with it. Go live. Just go live and start talking about what you do and who you serve. If you're not clear on what it is, go live and just start talking, and it will come out of you, and you'll be surprised at how clear it is when you're in that context of just having to talk about it. And invite people from your live to send you their email address. And sometimes by just talking to one person, and if I were to send this one person an email every day, what am I going to say to them first? What am I going to send to them tomorrow? How can I invite them to then book a call with me or apply to work with me? Now you have a sequence, put it into something automated, make a couple of adjustments if you need to. But if you're speaking to one person, that person is going to feel seen and heard. And that's going to be so much more effective than if you try to write a sequence that's going to be for the masses, because your message will be diluted whether you intend for it to be or not. So that's what I would do to get started.
It's genius. Like, if anybody's listening, go back to our brand ambassadors post. I'll have to look up the day that we posted it, but you're basically echoing exactly what I say often, which is like, talk to a couple people and everybody else will buy into it. 6 days ago, what was 6 days ago? 3/13. So March 13th is when we posted the brand ambassadors post. But yeah, you know, it's like, I also tell people, like, if you don't know your messaging, go on a walk and voice record. Just talk into a voice recording about, which is what you're saying. Like, what would I say? How would I say it? But I like the live aspect, because someone might be like, I'm interested. And then you build your sequence off of just sending emails to them. Genius. Genius. Thank you for sharing that with us today. Now, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you, Daniela, and we're not going to go into too much depth here, but I want you to kind of see like what comes off the cuff for you. So what would you title this chapter of your life?
Oh, chaos. We are going through actually a really big pivot with the agency. And I'm also in the middle of moving from the warehouse apartment to this home that we've been remodeling for the better part of a year and a half. So I was telling you when we got started that this recording situation is like, I'm going to take a picture of it so that you can see it's, you know, absurd, but it works. So we are floating above the chaos. We'll put it that way. That's the title, Floating Above the Chaos.
Floating Above the Chaos. That's cute. That could be a song. Send that to Lana Del Rey. Absolutely. What is a mistake you've made recently and what did it teach you?
I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. I think we all do.
Oh, yeah. I make 1,000 mistakes a day, minimum.
I would say the mistake that I've made most recently that's actually impacting others is keep promising that I will get something out sooner than is realistic. If I were only doing that one thing, I could totally keep that promise. But because of everything else that's happening in my life, I keep finding myself saying, oh, yeah, I'll get that out before the end of the week. And it doesn't happen. And so then I find myself sending a follow-up email. Hey, I haven't done it yet. It is still happening. And that's part of why I'm so grateful to work with the people that I do, because they get it. And we're welcome to do the same thing with me. We set that expectation from the beginning. Nothing's going to break. Nobody's going to get hurt. All of these deadlines are made up. We'll do our best to meet them. If we need to move, they move.
Yeah, we're just souls on a rock. You know what I mean? The next one is so general, and I'm keeping it that way because you get to answer it however you see fit. Life, business, personal, professional. What do you wish more people knew?
It's okay to change your mind. You're going to learn new information. Your perspective will change. And even if people know you for one thing, it's okay to change your mind and change theirs too.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Nothing happens. You lose people, you gain people. It's a net win. You know what I mean?
So much confidence through the process of allowing that change to happen, because otherwise you have this information that should be informing you to behave differently, but maybe you don't. So now that behavior is shrouded with guilt and all of these other negative emotions that really aren't going to help you get anywhere. That's what I tell young people all the time, younger than me, is that it's okay to change your mind.
That's a great one. The last one is, if you could have known anything you know now when you started your business, what do you wish that was?
I'm tempted to say the same thing. It's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, Were you being completely different when you started your business?
I wouldn't say completely different, but it was much more formulaic. When I started my business, it was an offer. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it. You fit or you don't. And over the years, we've done a lot of custom projects. And I think part of the reason why we're at this moment of pivot right now is that as a strategist, I've created an advertising agency, but ads aren't always the best solution for a business. There are a lot of different ways to get traffic on your site, and sometimes it's not ads. There are also a lot of different ways to strategize your funnel, and it depends so much on your business model, on your goals, on how you serve people and who it is you're trying to reach and where they're hanging out and all of those questions. And that's the part of the work that I truly enjoy, is that strategy development. And so we're making more space for that, which has been super, super fun.
Well, Daniela, like I said, I just feel so lucky to know you. We have a mutual friend who put us in our text group together, and we've been in there. We were strangers before. That was maybe a year ago-ish. And I feel like we have gotten to know each other so well in a business capacity and have so much grown respect and support of each other. And I mean, I think we all know this. We love on each other all the time, but I'm just so grateful for your friendship. I'm so grateful to know you. I love the business that you're running and I'm proud of you. And thank you for giving us time today.
Thanks, Ashley. That means a lot to me. I've always admired you and you inspire me in many ways. And so it's really nice to have this time to get to chat and share some of our brilliant behind the scenes conversations with your community so that they can tap into it too.
Yeah, it's so funny, you guys, because in our group chat, we send these lengthy voice notes, and sometimes it's back and forth, and you'll open up Voxer and it's voice note, voice note, voice note, voice note. And so we joke that it's our private podcast because you just got to get caught up on the whole conversation and see what everybody was talking about that day or that week or whatever it was. And so we have a lot of fun there. And this is the kind of stuff that we might be talking about there. So, it's nice to be able to bring it here. Daniela, thanks again. And guys, we will catch you guys on the next Unfiltered Entrepreneur. But before we go, where can everybody else fall in love with you, Daniela? Where can we follow you? Where can we hire you? Where can we creep on you, etc.?
Yeah, I hang out on Instagram. I'm a millennial. That is where I hang. So you can find me there at Daniela Justus. That's where you'll get all of the newest sort of information, all of my links, resources that we have, and then ways to work with me are all linked through the bio. So find me there.
Fantastic. Daniela, thanks again. We will catch you guys next time on The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Before we go, I'm inviting you on my mission to help female entrepreneurs, okay? I am a girl's girl, and I want to see every single one of you empowered, living your biggest and boldest life. And the easiest way for people to access free information and a community of like-minded women is by sharing this podcast. Leave a review on Apple, rate us on Spotify, but more than anything, if you liked this episode, please take a screenshot, share it to Instagram, and tag us so we know that you are loving the content, but also other people can see that you are an entrepreneur who is focused on her game. Now remember, the motto of the Team AP space is, it's not hard, it's new. And if nobody has told you this, I want you to remember, you've got this. Entrepreneurship is hard. I love you. I believe in you. And I am so grateful to be in service of you, whether free or paid. And until next time, stay focused, babes.